Live tonight with Dr. Christy Kane. We're going to be discussing some 3 big impacts to mental health. She's going to go over quite a few things. So I want you to get your questions ready for Dr. Kane because she's willing to answer them. So again, this is Therapy Thursday with Dr. Christy Kane. And I know you guys love it. So we're going to be talking about the 3 factors, the biggest impacts that's going to affect mental health. And Dr. Kane will be joining us. Let me send her a request. Wish there was an easier way to do this. How's your day going? Just requested for her to join. And as soon as she comes on, we will get started with Therapy Tuesday. Hey, Dr. Kane, we got a real organic moment happening here.
Yes, we do. This is where I'm at today.
I love it. I love it. So, people love your honesty. They love the fact that, look at all those hearts flying by. They love the fact that you're real. Like when you go, oh, I'm getting my hair is, well, anyway, forget about my hair. You go,
yeah,
they love that about you.
So that's good.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about the 3 major impacts for mental health as you're getting chemically enhanced.
Yes. Improving my outward appearance.
Yes, I love it. So, we did not plan this, everybody. I want you to know this is Dr. Kane being authentic and true and not worried about vanity, which I just love about her.
Thank you. So those 3 things that I sent you, in all my years of doing therapy, not in every case, but I've noticed that there's this theme of 3 things that tend to impact our mental health in a negative way or a positive way, depending on how we use them. 1 is the thoughts we tell ourselves. 2nd is what we think others think about us. And 3rd is our expectations. And so I wanted to talk about tonight, Dennis, because so many times that's why people come to see me that struggle with severe anxiety and depression. It falls into those 3 areas.
That's a great point you bring up. Now we have Jean says depression, anxiety continues in spite of medication and weekly therapy. What advice would you have for that?
When we have chronic, persistent depression, we also need to make sure we're adding in homeopathic solutions as well. Diet, exercise, and different type of therapeutic modalities. So for example, if you're using cognitive behavioral therapy and not finding that effective, then try EMDR therapy. If you're finding that continued therapy with the therapist that you're working with isn't working, you might consider switching therapists. It doesn't mean that that person's ineffective. It just may mean that you need some different options as well as different types of medication. There's so much new research on different modalities for addressing depression and anxiety that's chronic, other than the standardized just medication and cognitive behavioral therapy.
Now, for those of us who are new, would you explain the what was that type of therapy?
EMDR.
EMDR.
It stands for eye movement desensitization repetition. It's a trauma-based therapy that helps release trapped chronic emotions that the brain records.
Okay. So now that's something, how long does that process take? So if I come to see you in Highland, Utah, or Zoom from Glastonbury, Connecticut in my home right now and have a Zoom session, how many sessions would I need to achieve to go through that process, you think?
Well, it depends on the person. EMDR is a much more shorter based therapeutic process and usually goes much faster, but it really depends on what we're processing. So I can say that it's shorter than cognitive behavioral therapy, Dennis, but it really depends on the person.
Excellent, excellent. So it's different for everybody. Now, so we have a comment here. I just want to scroll back so I don't move. From Sarah.Mitt. I used to worry and think people were always thinking negative things about me. I learned that as I change my thoughts about myself and began to love myself more, the thoughts become less frequent. That's a
That's
good,
powerful. Yeah.
that is powerful. That really
Hey,
is. I would,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
go ahead, doctor.
I was going to say the other thing to add to what she said is oftentimes we teach people how to treat us. And if we think people are thinking bad things about us, oftentimes we create that perspective. And so that's a really important insight she offered.
Yes. So Sarah.mint, I would actually journal that or do something with that, because that's a powerful statement. So thank you for sharing. We have Be of Good Cheer. She knows I love that screen name. I definitely find it's important to find a therapist that you feel comfortable to connect with. That's so true. That's so true. So if let's say I was seeing you, Dr. Kane, and I was a patient in your office, and I wasn't feeling that it was that the chemistry was there, how should I break up with you? Is that a thing to ask, or?
Yes, and it segues into the next question, Dennis. What is the best way to find a good fit of a therapist? You should recognize as a person paying to see a therapist that you're in charge of your therapy. If you don't feel it's going somewhere, if you don't feel that it's connecting, you should tell your therapist and ask them if they can try some different options, or ask them, just say, look, I'm sure you're the right therapist for others. This isn't working for me. Could you possibly recommend someone else? And how do you find the right therapist that fits? First, research them. It's amazing. I have clients come into my office and they sit down and go, oh, I've researched you, Dr. Kane. I've watched your videos. I've looked you up on Google. I know everything about you. And I go, oh my gosh, I hope I can deliver. But research and then ask lots of questions. You should ask your therapist lots of questions and see if it just is a right fit.
Yes. And my friend Angela in West Jordan asked that question. And I'm sorry, Angela, I didn't see that. She's a personal friend of mine, actually in South Jordan. So she's not too far from you at all. So highly recommend visiting or checking out Dr. Kane's office. I've been there myself. So, and I think you actually shared a photo on Instagram of me holding your book. And I was like, yes.
Yeah, in my office, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So if we don't have any more questions, we can wrap this up. Oh, we have Sister Becky McIntosh on from Lehigh, Utah. So Becky, I highly recommend you connecting with Dr. Kane, because you can see how authentic she is and not into vanity by getting her hair done right now. So Becky runs... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Good. I was going to say, Dennis, before you conclude, I think let's go back. Let's swing back around to the beginning and just remind people that oftentimes what impacts our anxieties, depression is how do we talk to ourselves? We have about 90,000 conversations with ourselves every day, 90,000 thoughts. And if those are negative, can you imagine those 90,000 thoughts and how they impact our spirit, our soul, our mind, our body? So we need to be mindful of our thoughts. We also need to be mindful that oftentimes we think and give people far more power than they ever want, because we think they're thinking things they're not thinking. Now, occasionally there are toxic people in our lives that we need to remove. And then second, our expectations need to be realistic so that we don't put ourselves in a position where we constantly feel like we fail.
Yes. So we had a question. Somebody wanted to know, what's the name of your book that just came out?
Fractured Souls, Splintered Memories, Unlocking the Boxes of Trauma.
Yes, that's exciting. We also have a question from TON. That we answered that. What's the name of your book? And then Be of Good Cheer. Are there therapists that have financial opinions? Question mark.
I'm not sure what they mean by financial opinions. There might be therapists who can guide and direct you maybe to financial assistance. I'm not exactly sure what that question means, Dennis.
Okay, so if Be of Good Cheer, if I misread it, if you want to retype it, and we have my friend from Honolulu on 801 ask, well, okay, so we discussed this earlier, and I will save this as IGTV, but which therapy would you suggest to undergo EMDR phase, question mark? Or please, sorry, question mark.
The way you find a therapist is you can ask them if they're EMDR certified. And then if you're definitely looking at some kind of trauma-based, EMDR therapy is very good. And trauma isn't necessarily about the event. It's about how we translated it and impacted us neurologically.
Excellent. So I pray that we answered your question. Okay, so DBAK says, is therapy effective tool for seasonal affective disorder? This is really a good question. I get it every winter and it's the worst. I use light therapy, and I actually have one right over here, which is why I look glowing today. Light therapy and vitamin therapy, etc. Sometimes it's not enough.
I would definitely recommend a combination of that, because sometimes just talking to someone about what's going on can help. I would add also to that light therapy and to the vitamin therapy, exercise big time. It's beneficial for the brain if you're not doing that. But of course, anytime we have a sounding board that we feel understood can help increase the oxytocin to our brain, which can help during that seasonal affective issues.
Good, very well. And I believe our friend that asked of that is in Pleasant Grove, so she's not too far from you at all, which is good. So let me see if we have anybody else. We don't have any more questions, Dr. Kane. So I would say we want to invite you to follow Dr. Kane. She is a world-renowned speaker. She's a TED Talk speaker, best-selling author, and she does firesides, devotionals, and speaks all over the world. So, and she's based in Utah, and we highly recommend you to follow her and show her your love, you know, with the hearts that we love this, because we go on every Tuesday for Therapy Tuesday. And we just do, and she does every other day, she posts these like 1 to 2 minute videos of encouragement. And I was reading a comment from one of our friends earlier that was really impressed and learned so much from those, the advice that you pass on. So you definitely follow the spirit, Dr. Kane, and I just want to thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And I look forward to next Tuesday.
Definitely. So we'll see you next Tuesday for Therapy Tuesday.
Probably in a different location.
Different, yeah, not getting chemically enhanced.
No,
so,
no. Okay.
Well, in your car ride home, if you have some time, give me a holler so I can say holler.
All right, I'll do that. Sounds good.
Okay. Thank you, Miriam. Oh, wait a minute. We have one more question. Both Dennis and Dr. Kane are incredible insights. Oh, that's not a question. And everybody's just saying thank you, and we're getting lots of hearts and lots of engagement. So thank you, Dr. Kane.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have fun. And say hi to your hairdresser.
I will. Bye-bye.
Okay.
She's great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.